All right, folks, we are live here at Lanes Raceway, October the 5th. What a beautiful Thursday. Rained a little bit earlier. I'll tell you what, cooled it off. I like the way it felt. GRC Oval, 7:30 tonight. Here we are, folks, about to be underway. You see our racers there, Gabriel K, Carson Ross, and Weston D. It's going to be a battle of the ages. What a race we seen just a few moments ago on the GRC road. I'll tell you what, it come down to the wire, and Weston was able to pinch it off just by a hair. You can see that picture on Facebook, how close it was between him and Gabriel K. But let's get this thing underway. Racers, watch your lights. Here we go, folks. 2-minute heats, that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at trying not to be a complete debacle, complete bloodbath. The chat is live on YouTube if you want to tune in and say anything. But right out of the gate, we got Carson out in the lead there on white lane, followed by Gabriel K in the red Torino GT on green lane. Then right behind him, we got Weston up top on the red lane. All three kind of spacing out a little bit, but Carson running the show on this one. Gabriel K close in tow, trying his best to reel him in there. Like I said, coming right off of the orange track earlier, having a few issues with gear ratio. It might have slipped so much that he's now having an issue with the gear ratio in the back, because usually on the lower lanes you can usually get a little bit quicker than the rest. Two other cars come off in dead man's corner. Gabriel K, the only one to survive such a mean debacle hit, as one of the cars go flying, almost hitting Ashley on the Jurassic Park machine. Dana Durham there grabbing a car to see if it's going to make it and be okay. Gabriel K now quickly looking at his gear ratio on his car, tightening it up. Hopefully he can get that squeal out and maybe be just a little bit faster than Carson and Weston, as he does have the lower lane there and his car not keeping up. We'll see as we continue on here. In the background there on the orange track, the high bank, we see Tommy T there getting his wing car and stuff ready for the upcoming Four Crowns race this Sunday. Of course, this Sunday we are running the Four Crowns wing car, and that will be on 7 p.m. on the road course, also known as the orange track. Heading back here, just a little bit of pit time, about 1 minute into this race so far. We see Gabriel K still struggling a little bit with his car. I'm struggling with my mouse today, folks, but that's life. As we go here, just kind of tuning in here, we can see Ashley back on her first ball here, 1.8 million. We'll see if she can get her up there and get some of those badges ticked off. I know there's going to be quite a few people going after that badge at least for the next couple of days. And like I said, it may just boil down to who can get the Galamus badge, the one where you have to sign in for 5 days. So we'll see. Whoever brings it to me first wins, though. I open the doors at 5 o'clock on Thursday. We close down at 9. So good luck to all that are competing for the Jurassic Park badges. Gabriel K there, 25 laps, followed by Carson with 25, now 26. It's 25, 26, 27, 28, all the way up to this right now. Very, very close racing here. As we see Gabriel down low, making a pass on Weston up on red. And we're hearing some squeals of the gears, but these cars are not the ones squealing. That squealing of the gear we're hearing is actually coming from the orange track from Tom Payton. A real good rough love tuck by Carson to Weston as Carson drives on the inside, sending Weston to the outside in a dirty maneuver that we like to call the steel bullhorns. Nonetheless, Carson now in second place on Gabriel K's heels as he is coming around Dead Man's Corner there. Something I am noticing here is they're just allowing the cars to go ahead and race here tonight. We might actually implement that on the GRC series since it's not a part of the Four Crowns. But if this was the Four Crowns, the way that it goes is once you wreck, you go in front of the start-finish line. But being that our GRC series is not a part of the 4 Crowns, nor is it taken quite as seriously as our payout series is, we like to keep it a little bit more family friendly, I guess you would say. We want beginners to come in here not feel intimidated, folks. And it's a beautiful class for us. Gabriel Kirtley and Carson Ross tied up for the lead on this one. And Weston right there behind them with 3 laps difference. Of course, Weston being up on the red, if he was going to have some struggling times, definitely on red lane would be the key to have those struggles. But Gabriel Kirtley and Carson there pretty close together, 51 laps total. Their tee times just separate just by a hair. As we go over to the oval and you can watch these guys work on their cars. We see Gabriel there fiddling with the controller there. We'll be right back with you. Let me read that for the people on the stream. So right now, folks, this is how easy it is. Ash, well, it's really not that easy to get some of the points that she's got. But from where she scored so many points on one game, she got all 5 of her Triceratop 15 million pointers. And she got 3 of 4 of her Velociraptors at 35 million. So she needs 0. She got 0 of 3 of the Spinosaurus and 0 of 2 of the T-Rex 150 millers. And she got 1 of 5 of the Gallimimus. Now, I think that's what it's going to boil down to, folks, is the Gallimimus. So you got to come 5 times and sign in to get that. But I'll tell you what, folks, I'm excited. I hope you are. I can't wait to give that $100 gift card away. And maybe $100 cash out of Gabriel Kirtley's wallet if they beat me. So, yeah, Ashley says she needs $200 out of his wallet. And, you know, I mean, with the remark that Gabriel just had in here a few minutes ago saying for me to charge Ashley double, I think it's all fair. So, you know, she gets it. I think Gabriel should have to pay $200.
Make it double.
Yeah, double.
400.
So she wants it quadrupled, folks. Nonetheless, we got a minute and 17 seconds left here. We're about halfway through this heat. Gabriel Kirtley out in the lead by 2 laps to Carson. But Carson, you know, up on that red lane is going to have a little bit of issues there. Weston down there on green, just a little bit lower than Carson. Should be able to make up a few of his laps. We'll see how that works out. Of course, Weston coming off of a beautiful win, his first win here, I believe, at Lanes Raceway. And I'll tell you what, it was by 2 car lengths, maybe. And what a race it was. Right now, we're still seeing some very close racing here, as you can tell. Gabriel Kirtley out in the lead with 90, but just 3 laps down from that, Carson, and followed by about 3 laps from him is Weston. So 3 laps difference here, and what it's boiling down to is just simply who wrecks and who doesn't. But all 3 of these guys got almost veteran status when it comes to the tri-oval track. They all got the rhythm. They know where to let off. They know where to get on. This pretty much boils down to car setup, folks. If your car's set up good and tight and true to where that it's loose in the rear end and can spin very well, and you got a decent motor, there's no reason you should be able to turn some very, very fast lap times. As we can see, Gabriel Kirtley there with 106 total laps to finish up Blue Lane with 55 total laps, the most laps turned currently tonight. We see an impressive 51-51 back repeater of Carson Ross there with 102. Weston Durham there, 47-51, having a little bit of rough issues there up on the red lane, only turning 47. We'll see if he can turn it around as we continue on. But folks, the thing that we're talking about tonight, Jurassic Park, and the badges that you can earn here at Lanes Raceway. Of course, you know, the biggest badge is going to be the one that's going to separate everybody is the one simply logging in, and probably the T-Rex badge. The 150 million is going to be a little bit challenging to get, and you got to get that twice. So folks, come down here, try your skill here on the Jurassic Park. It's running beautifully, freshly cleaned. What a machine. What fun we have down here at Jurassic Park. Hopefully Stern does more of these badges. As I've said previously, I'd like to see one on Iron Maiden and maybe Godzilla in the future. But nonetheless, we're having a pretty good time here. I'll leave you guys here with the racers here. If they get all their cars on, they're ready to go, we'll go ahead and go green. Are you guys ready? If you're ready, we'll go ahead and skip through. All right, watch your lights. So we're going to go ahead and skip through. We're getting right into the action here. Oh, folks, I'm here. Paul Big Dog Woosley just entered the building. I know you've missed him. Here he is, folks, leaning up against the wall as per usual. The A to the H, also known as Paul Woosley, hanging out with Glenn Burton on a daily. Kind of surprised that I don't see Glenn in here. But I guess if Glenn ain't here, Paul is. If Paul's here, Glenn ain't here recently. But nonetheless, Paul coming back in here. I'll be starting trouble with Gabriel Kirtley would be my guess. Paul, how have you enjoyed your month off? Getting the itch, he says, folks. Well, I know for a fact I do enjoy myself some Paul Woosley racing. And I also enjoy whenever him, Gabriel, Randy, and Glenn get together and their camaraderie and their antics of, I don't know how to say it nicely, so I best not say it at all. But these guys are definitely rivals, but pretty good friends the same. Speaking of Gabriel Kirtley, here he is in the lead, folks. What else do you expect when you're down low on purple? 133 to 127 of Carson, so pretty close there. Weston there was 124, 4 laps separating each one of these individuals, basically. But when Gabriel starts coming back up on the heat here, we're going to start seeing that change very, very quick. I don't know if I've told you guys, I had a big talk with Jay Latham last night. We were on the phone with each other for about 4 hours as he was talking technology and talking stuff like that about the slot cars and stuff that we're running and about what we can do to make them faster. So we ran across several things. We're going to experiment with different things just to be able to see if we can get something out of these locked motors. But nonetheless, he's going to be trying some different gear ratios. Several of the guys trying different gear ratios in the Wing Car series. And some of them actually working for him. Of course, we got Tom's. His gear ratio is very, very high strung, high RPM gear ratio. Hard on motors, but man, really good on downforce through the donut and the S-turns. Some of the guys actually opting for a top speed build. Horrible on brakes and not too good on handling. So both of them running about 1.7 is their average lap time. Basically, it's going to boil down to who can stay on the track and who can't. And then, of course, you know, Tom opting to just, hey, I'll just buy a motor and keep the downforce so that I can keep the car on the track. And of course, Jay sent me a picture last night. I wish I could put it up on the screen for you, where he's put some weight up in the front of his chassis, where most of the guys are opting to put weight in the chassis to help them handle a little bit better and get some of that top end down. But after that heat, we see Gabriel Kirtley there, 164 total laps, Carsán 155, and Weston with 151. So 4 or so laps separating these guys, 9 laps there from first to second. But like I said, that's all going to change just as soon as Gabriel starts moving up high on the hog. Heading over to the oval, we see these guys working on their cars a little bit. Be right back with you when they're ready to race. All right, watch your lights. And here we go. Gabriel Kirtley talking about a whole lot of it is managing your car. Well, a lot of it is. Some of it is, like I was just saying, some of it's motor selection found out from some of the vets, Guillermo and Randy Kirtley. When selecting a motor here at Lanes Raceway, hey, have me take all of them off the wall for you. Evidently, the glue that is on the armature, a lot of it is weight, and that weight does matter. I really never even thought about it before. I'm sure a lot of you racers are like, as much as you build cars and as long as you've been in it, you've never thought about that. Well, some things slip past you, and I'll tell you, I never have thought about it. But nonetheless, I have noticed that whenever you find them with like thin amounts of glue and not a whole big blob of glue, they actually do turn hotter. So one good thing is the previous batch of motors that we got was exceptional. So not too many of them have big blobs, and the ones that do, I've kind of put them towards the back. So come on in and definitely select one of these motors to get started with. And another thing I noticed was in play. Of course, right there where the bushing is in the backside of the motor where the commentator is, some of the guys actually tap the motors to kind of set that to where there's not a lot of back and forth play, and that helps them actually break the brushes in a lot truer and cleaner, to the point that they can turn higher RPMs. The other thing, by the master himself of motor building, Guillermo Sire, he said what he does, he says the motors don't last real long. He says, but what he does is he turns her on 2 volts and breaks her in. I think he said overnight or something. I can't remember. Maybe it was a couple hours. Nonetheless, the easiest thing to do is when you're breaking it in at low voltage like that, just every once in a while check in on it with a light and make sure that the brushes are not completely gone. After you do it about an hour or so, you can get a kind of an understanding about how much it is actually breaking in. Some of the guys are breaking them in water. That's what I've heard for years, and break them in rubbing alcohol. I've heard that for years. But if the brushes are soft, you end up running into an issue there. And the issue on that, of course, is that if you got soft brushes, they break in a lot quicker. So you can't really do that for as long, especially if you're breaking them in at a higher voltage. Gabriel Kirtley, your current leader by 11 laps, followed by Carson Ross. Weston Durham, about 4 or so laps down from Carson. And like I said, pretty close battle even on this circle track. We're going to see some changes here when Carson goes down low to run his, purple and black lane. Weston there running a 57 on purple, just 1 lap shy of what Gabriel Kirtley could run. running a 53 on blue. But we see some challenge here from Carson. Carson already running a better green lane and a better blue lane than Gabriel Kirtley. So it looks like Carson might have the car to beat here as we see a little bit of a turnaround here. Average 55.5 for Gabriel, 52.8 for Carson. We'll see that average increase after this heat as long as Carson can keep it on the track. So let me check in with the racers and see if they're ready to go, and we'll skip on through. Racers, are you ready? All right, just let me know. So they're not ready currently right now. But nonetheless, folks, like I said, just kind of bring it over here to me. I'm wanting to do some studies. I want to do a little bit of testing. Let me grab one of these motors real quick. So I got one here. As I got a call a little bit earlier from one of our racers. And what I was talking about, the glue. So you can kind of see it right there, that big white blob. I wish it would focus. But that little white blob right there. So if you rotate this, you can see that glue goes all the way around it. The thinner the glue, the better. Because the thinner the glue, that's less weight there on the end of the armature. And that was something that, I mean, it's been there for ages, and I just never have noticed. So that's something. Now, of course, the brushes that I was talking about in the in-play is, some of the guys will actually hit their motors. See I'm holding it? They'll hit their motors on that shaft there to drive that bushing into that seat right there. So once it gets drove in there, then you don't have any back and forth play. Which you can see these motors here don't have a whole lot anyway. But to get them a little bit tighter like that to where that they literally have nowhere to go on that commutator except right there, helps the brushes break in more true and stuff like that too. Like I said, you break those brushes in slower, it's a lot easier on the laminations too. So, we're gonna do some stuff. I'm gonna drop this baby in oil, and I'm gonna break it in on like 1 volt and see if we can get it to break in better and run higher RPMs. Now I don't have any way to test that RPM. I think Cleve Tech has a thing where that you can check the RPMs of specific motors and stuff like that. But every time I've checked to try to get one of those, they've always been sold out, or you can't get them, or they're not available. But maybe you guys know somewhere I can find something that can test RPM so that we know that, hey, here at Lanes Raceway, we got that motor broke in as good as it can get, and it's turning good RPMs. That way, initially, when I'm sitting here doing nothing, I can be breaking these motors in for people, and we'll label them something different. Now, whether or not I increase or decrease the price is subject to my own discretion, I guess you would say. I'll probably most likely increase the prices. It costs me power to do it, but nonetheless, you'll be getting something a little bit quicker without you having to do the work. And that's my whole agenda from the beginning to the end, is I want these guys to be running as close as they possibly can. If somebody has some kind of information that could help us get these cars faster together, that way there's no other way that you can get just a little bit more speed, then we'll start seeing more races consistent to our lockdown series, where that the cars are super fast, but there's nobody actually gaining or losing on each other. And I think you see a lot of that in like nationals races and stuff like that, because everybody knows all the tricks and it's to that limit. Well, we want to know all those tricks. We want to know all those limits. That way that, everybody that gets in here has a fair stab at it, a fair shot, and it's not limited by knowledge, I guess you would say, of how to do those motors. Now, I will say this, you can always free your car up more and more, to the point that you can almost mess it up and make it where it's not free at all. So I think that's what should boil down to the individual engineer of their car, is that, how free can you make your car to where it can run just a little bit better? What type of lubricants are you using? These things are within, what I think is acceptable in competing. Now, as for knowing tricks like that, I'm glad the guys told me about them. But, of course, opening the end of the can is, of course, illegal. You can't open the end of this can here and, rotate it, advance time, or stuff like that. But yeah, that's like what I'm saying. You know, I just want everybody to have a good, fair shot at it. If their car's bend, of course, they're going to get slow. Well, that's just like real racing. But, you know, we got to put some sort of limitations, I guess you would say, just to kind of keep them within the realm of each other. Nonetheless, I'm going to move you guys to the big oval, and I'll be right back with you when these guys are ready to go green racing. All right, folks, we're back green racing. Just had a small talk there with Tommy T about his wing car. He's trying to get a setup alternative after his 72 pitch stuff goes bad. So he's working on that. He says, man, what he's got right now, pretty high. I think a 1533, I think is what he said, and it's braking like a mule. So we'll see how he gets some alternative wing car set up for the series. And that's a lot of it, guys. Just preparation, especially in the open classes like that. It's definitely very, very specific when it comes to gear ratios. So you definitely got to have your gear ratios in order on those open classes, and definitely have to have your stuff freed up. As we can see, Gabriel Kirtley freed up here, 243 total laps. 10 laps down from him is Carsán. Carsán trying to make some moves there on Gabriel as he comes off there. His car just flying off there. Gabriel Kirtley going ahead and trying his best to reel in that black car of Weston. Weston running nice and smooth here, not having too many issues here. Saw three of them roll in. Now, I couldn't tell you what was going on there in the pits, why it was taking us just a little bit longer to get this baby rolling. But nonetheless, we are back rolling now with 40 seconds left to go. So, like I showed you before with that other motor, I found this other motor here, and you can see how much smaller that glue blob is in comparison. And this is what I was talking about. Now, is the durability of this motor going to probably be less because there's less, glue holding that wire? Yeah, I would say it would, especially if enough heat is induced into the motor. But for the lifelong, for the life of that motor, is it going to matter? I don't think it will. And I think that's the beauty of some of these stock car racers. They know that, as we hit to that zero mark right there, this is going to be my candidate motor for the oil break-in. And like I said, I just got this information offline. A lot of guys did not like hearing that I was going to break one in motor. They was afraid it gunked the motor up and stuff like that. I know Randy Curtis was like, I don't know about that. But, you know, it's something to test simply because, you know, somebody else online, that's what they do to get theirs to go quick. So we'll see if it works. Gabriel Kirtley turning 55 on blue, but man, Carsán coming out of the woodwork here, folks, turning 56 on blue. Carsán not doing too well down on purple, though, turning 53. I was expecting him to try to bring it up and bring it home there on the lower lanes. Struggling a little bit down low, though, we see. But Weston there turning 257s. He's back in the mixes. He does make an advantage jump here and actually catching Carsán by 1 lap. We'll see how things progress as we move on here. Moving over to the orange here, we can see Randy Kirtley and looks like Tom over here running their wing cars. I don't know what Randy Kirtley's doing currently right now, but there's a lot of testing and tuning that goes on, especially when the series and stuff's rolling. Being we're rocking 4 crowns here, this is big timing, folks, for Lanes Raceway. We want to see the masters of slot car disasters. Minute and 20 seconds left to go. Oval, they're ready to go. All right, guys, watch your lights. And here we go. We're heading into round robin 6 of 8. Gabriel Kirtley making a long trip all the way from Bowling Green, Kentucky to come race with these guys tonight. Going to try to come back on Sunday, I think, and he's going to be getting in all of the 4 crowns, is what I'd heard. So he's going to try to mix it around a little bit. I know him and Jay Latham, always fun to watch as they beat and bang on this circle track, especially in the Fairview IT Management Cup Series. I told Gabriel the other night on the phone, you better watch Jay Latham. Jay Latham's been bringing the heat here as of late, especially on the Fairview IT Cup Series. As we can see, this battle somewhat drawing to 2/3 of an end here. Gabriel Kirtley out in the lead by 10 laps, and a tie between Weston and Carsán here as they battle for their racing life. Weston narrowly holding off Carsán. Carsán now taking over Weston as he's running a beautiful black lane here. That car is hooking up and handling good. We see the seriousness in Carson's eyes as the car comes off here. And we get a pause on the track. Gabriel courteously letting off on his Gran Torino GT. All of these cars have passed height inspection. They are different style GRC, FCR bodies, but nonetheless, they all pass the 4.5 inch height size on the tech tool for Parma. So we let the guys run whatever they want. As we can see, you know, we got a JK body here, a Parma body, and it's a JK NASCAR body, a Parma truck body, and a Parma, I believe it's either Parma or out of sight. I don't know. I think it might be Parma Gran Torino, like old stock NASCAR or something. So all the guys got their own little flavor and own little taste of what they love about GRC, and that's one of the good things about GRC is there's not really a body limitation, as there's several different style bodies you can run that match the height jig for GRC. Now we have limited them in the past to NASCAR or to the truck series to get that kind of aesthetic, I guess you would say. We wanted everybody running trucks, so we wanted it looking like a real truck series. But when we're in our off-series stuff and we're not, our main focus is not FCR or GRC, you know, we let them run what they want, you know, and let, like we said, Weston there running his Cowboys truck there, and it's pretty nice. I will say it's nice and clean, good paint job on it. We rolled through the end right there, 329 of Gabriel Kirtley. So we hit up the track mate here. 329 total laps, average of 54.8. Weston, though, coming back into the mix here with 53 on average. And then we see Carsán just same thing, 53. So he's run both of those lanes the same, just like Weston and just like Gabriel. So Weston now moving up into the heavy spots here, but Weston struggles in the middle where Carsán was struggling down low. So we'll see if it's just going to boil down to the wire. It looks like here it's going to be pretty close, but right now the advantage goes to Gabriel Kirtley, but he's going to his 2 highest lanes yet coming up next. We'll see if he can hang on to this lead as we see the other 2 boys a little mid-height and mid altogether. I think we're going to start seeing Carsán come alive here in the next couple heats as we move over to the oval and see these guys get their cars put out. Racers, are you ready? All racers moving to their specific spots. All right, watch your lights. I like to do the little deep voice thing. I think it's kind of funny when you hear it through the microphone out there or through the speaker out there. Whether they like it or not. Nonetheless, I like to have a little bit of fun here, folks. Heading back in there, you can see I'm having fun. You can see Ashley's having fun again on Jurassic Park. She might actually get every single one of her missions done here tonight on Jurassic Park. She is flat putting the quarters in, folks. And she's already got several of them already done. So, you know, some of the upper ones, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex ones, are really pretty tough. 150, you got to get that twice. But there she is, like 1,077,000 there. She's going on to another one of her balls there. But Carsán and Weston still tied, 10 laps down from Gabriel Kirtley. But like I said, 10 laps for 2 heats. You know, you can make it up if you're lower than people. And right now, Gabriel's going to the moon. So he's going to start dropping laps for sure while these other guys are making them up. And we can see right now Carsán and Weston now getting her to 9 laps difference as Gabriel just falling away there on that upper lane. We see how much quicker there on the orange lane Weston is than Gabriel Kirtley, and really how much quicker Carsán is than both of them down there on the yellow lane as Carsán goes to eat up both of them there as he goes to make that pass on Weston, now solidifying that lead for Carsán. So Carsán just really driving that yellow lane home. This might be his best lane that he's ran all race long. So I'll tell you folks, a mouthful for sure, but nonetheless, Carsán's coming alive on the yellow lane. Gabriel Kirtley getting eaten alive on the white lane. And, you know, Weston just trying to stay alive on the orange lane. See a car coming off there, and that's Carsán. That's detrimental for Carsán. See, all those laps that he just gained from Weston, he just lost there in one fell swoop. Losing 2 laps total right there. Boom, right off the gate. As we get a rotation right now. And 7 laps is what separates it, folks. 7 laps. So we got some really close racing here, if you can't tell. And it just goes to show you how these cars are when they go to the higher portions of the track. They just do not do well. Down low, they can do 58, 57 laps. Up high, you know, 51, 47, 50 laps. That's what you're looking at, folks. So, you know, it all kind of equals out, and it all boils down to if you wreck or not. Right now, we see Carsán Weston fighting it out for second place, 53.1, 53.1. Gabriel Kirtley with 54.1, but like I said, that average dropped hard since his last one because he hit that 50 mark. So we'll see in this last heat who's going to pull it down, but I hate to give it a call on anybody. Currently, right now, this race is just nail-biting. It's so close. A minute and 44 seconds. I'm sure these racers are ready to rock anyway, so we'll give them a shout and see. Racers, are you ready? All right, racers, watch your lights. Final heat. All right, final heat. Here we go, folks. Rocking and rolling, never knowing who's going to be showing that first place badge. But right out of the gate, Gabriel had a pretty good jump there, but now he's getting eaten up as the other cars are starting to get their speed about him. Gabriel Kirtley doing a little friendly gesture blip there to allow the car of Weston to roll on by on white lane. Carsán now got it within 6 laps to Gabriel Kirtley. 1 minute and 37 seconds left to go. Gabriel Kirtley getting chewed up out here, folks. Median of 2.5, losing about 0.2 per lap. Weston right there with 2.46, not gaining too much or losing too much on Gabriel. But nonetheless, Carsán is able and within shooting range here now, within 5 laps. We'll see if Carsán can pull this baby off. As long as he keeps rolling as hard as he's rolling, he's going to be gaining these laps, folks. And we see him get another lap there on Gabriel. Now in 4 laps difference here. 4 laps with 57 seconds left to go. It's going to be close, folks. It's going to be down to the wire. We see Carsán coming up again through Dead Man's Corner. About to get Gabriel in another lap here right now as he goes to make the pass down low, and he does so. 4 laps is showing here. 32 seconds left to go. 3 laps difference now. 27 seconds left to go. And Carsán's coming up yet again. It's going to be close. 20 seconds left to go, folks. We're talking nail biting here. As he goes to make another pass now, 2 laps separates them. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but what a battle, folks. What a battle. 2 laps. 2 laps, folks. The difference between first and second coming down to the wire. As we can see, well, it's 3 laps, but really it's 2. It's he's about to pass the line there. 53.5 average laps for Gabriel Kirtley, 53.1 average laps for Carsán. Literally 3 laps separating them. And actually 3 laps separating second from third. So 3, 3, and 3. What a beautiful turn of events here. Gabriel Kirtley being able to take home my first place tonight. Let's get a podium picture. Guys, if you don't mind, please line up for your podium picture. Guys, just want to say thank you tonight for tuning in and watching yet again another one of our GRC races here, finishing up the oval here of our 7:30 race, making pretty good time, about 40 so minutes. And these guys, you've seen it, back and forth, very, very close racing. Like I said, come in tomorrow night, pinball competition, 6:30 sharp, rock and roll in here, get involved, have a good time. We got a new dirt competition going on out there on the VR. You don't have to use VR. You can use our big widescreen TV. It's on Charlotte, and we're back to Super Late Model Pro. So I know how much you guys like the Super Late Model Pro. Get in here and try your skill out on that and see if you can come out ahead at the end of this month. Great celebration going to happen the 28th too. I'll be talking about that from here until that takes place. Blast from the past. And not to mention, every one of our pinball machines have paid out today and are on the tournament mode again to try your skill at everybody else here. Blast from the past month, folks. Get in here, have a good time, join in on the festivities. God bless you, and thank you for watching.